So in this class we are going to learn about another project. Okay, so we are going to understand one other project, and this project, you can call this project as a combination of computer vision plus NLP. Now the reason why I am mentioning this is because it actually is a combination of both things, and what we are going to do is we are going to understand about text OCR. So when we say OCR basically means optical character recognition. So this is what OCR stands for, optical character recognition. So what this means is basically you have an image, okay, so if in that image you have some particular text written, okay, so if there is an image, let's say a JPEG image, and in there if there is a text written like a cat, dog, something like that, so it will be able to identify the text and it will be able to convert it into text format. So any JPEG images that have character written can be converted into the text format using this project, this understanding of optical character recognition. Okay, so we are going to learn about that and understand that. Now essentially when I talk about OCR, right, essentially when I talk about OCR is a pretty in-depth topic. It has a lot of things in it and there is a lot of things to understand in it. So what I am going to do is I am going to give you a very brief idea on how OCR works. Okay, so once you have that idea, then what we can do is we can use some libraries to understand this, because essentially doing everything from the start itself is a very big process. Okay, it's very tedious. So what I would suggest is to understand how this works, okay, and just understand, follow with me, and then when we are doing OCR and stuff, we can just call in libraries, so that becomes easier to solve. Okay, so in the very first step of OCR we have pre-processing. So when I talk about pre-processing, see, you have an image, right, a JPEG image. It might be blurry or it might have a lot of contrast or some other problems. Okay, you have an image, so an image cannot always be in the perfect mode that you require. So the very first thing that is done is pre-processing. So in pre-processing there are a lot of steps. Let us start one by one. So the very first step will be deskew. So deskew basically means if you have the characters written in a particular way and if they are skewed, so it deskews them, that is, it converts them into the format where it is easier to read. Okay, then you have despeckle. So despeckle, what it does is basically it removes all the dark and bright spots in an image. So whenever you might have seen this, whenever you take an image, it might be possible at times you might get some dark or light spots, bright spots in it. Okay, so to remove those we use despeckling. Then you have binarization. So binarization, what it does is basically it converts an image to black and white. So binary, as the name suggests, it converts it into black and white, right? So that is binarization. Then this is followed by line removal. So line removal. So line removal, when we talk about this basically means removing all the lines or the lines that are not required. Suppose you have written it in a black and white in a ruled page or something, so the lines or the boxes and stuff, to remove all those you have line removal. Then you have the other parts, that is word detection and script recognition. So these are some other parts. So in the entire image, to detect where the word is, you use word detection, and then script recognition basically means, you might have seen, it is able to when you take a photograph, it is able to identify the script part of it. Okay, that is script recognition. So these are some of the pre-processing steps. Now there are a lot more, and if you want, you can go through it deeply and understand. But the thing is, OCR right now, the whole point of this is when you are doing the thing, they have already given us libraries, they have already trained models, they have already done the whole thing. So why should we start and do everything from the beginning when we already have everything that has been provided to us, right? So what we are going to do is we are going to just follow the library that is used during this. Okay, so now let us go and understand what happens next. So the next part is basically your feature extraction. So when we talk about feature extraction, it starts with, first of all, understanding the strokes and lines of words. Okay, so understanding the strokes and lines, that is one thing, that is how features are extracted. The next is basically identifying the patterns in the row. Okay, so pattern in a row basically means identifying where the letter starts, where it ends, so it is able to identify the rows. Okay, so this together forms one line, this is the other line, in that way. The next is basically understanding each and every character from the entire word, all the words or whatever be the sentence or paragraph or whatever the text. It is basically able to identify each and every word. So once this has been done, you have understood all the pattern and everything. Then what happens is it gets converted into binary format. You can see here this A has now been converted into a binary format where whichever area has been black has been converted into ones, the rest are all zeros. Okay, once this is done, the next is basically finding out the distance. So this, they use basically the distance formula to find out the center. Now I am not going to make and understand the whole thing in details because seriously nobody asks the details of OCR, but if you want you can go and Google it. They are like pretty easy to find. So the next thing that they will do is basically try and understand the center of the particular letter. Okay, once that has been done, once you have found out the center, the next thing is basically drawing a radius around the letter. After you have drawn the radius, you will be dividing it into different parts. So once you have divided it into different parts after drawing the radius, now in that case what will happen is, now you have the parts. Now each part will together be used and they will be compared to a dictionary of already present matrices. Okay, and then these will be used finally to understand the particular character. Now these are a lot of steps, that is why I say that these have already been present and we have been using this for a very long time. So we should not go and understand the details so much. Let us go and see how the code part works. Okay, so this is basically how it works. So for this to run this code, you have to install two things. You have to install Pillow and you have to install PyTesseract. So now you can run this PyTesseract. Tesseract is an OCR thing, and what this does is basically the PyTesseract has been written in Python, so you can use that. Okay, so you are using these two parts. These two you have to install beforehand. Okay, once that has been done, I have written some functions. Now these functions are like pretty easy. We do not have to do a lot of things. So you can call PyTesseract image to string, and then inside that you can write the name of the image and open it, and you can also write the language code for it. Okay, so if there is an English sentence or an English image, you can just write it. So what we are going to do is basically we are going to run this test.eng.png file. Okay, so let us look into this. So this is our file. So this is a JPEG file where text has been written. Along with it, you can see there are a few disturbances here. Some patterns have been drawn so that it becomes difficult for the model to understand. So this is our image that we will be using. You can use any image, you can change the path accordingly, whatever you want. So it will be passed and you have to pass the language code. So since this is an English, so I am going to pass ENG. Okay, and then what you have to do is basically PyTesseract.image to string, and then you have to open it using Pillow image. Okay, so that is all. Once that has been done, the next thing is like pretty easy. Once you get this output, all you have to do is basically print the output, and then what you have to do is basically open the file and write it. That is it. So once you have done that, this is not even important. We can remove this if we want to. So this output file is basically so that it creates a text file where this has been written. So if I remove this, let's say, and let's just say we remove this and I just print the data. Okay, so these are a few functions and I'll be running this, and you can see it got me the output. The quick fox jumps over the lazy dog. Okay, so this is what it gave me. What was here? The quick fox jumps over the lazy dog. So you can see here. And by the way, once all this has been done, now the other thing that it does is, once this has been done, it does some post processing also. So post processing basically means, when we talk about pre-processing, right? Pre-processing is processing before training and everything. Post-processing basically means once it has been done, it will do a few other things, like it will go for a grammar check, it will go for a spell check, it will go for error checking. So all these checking will be done so that you can get even better results. Okay, so this is like a very easy project, I would say. You just start it and it just gets over. This is like very quick, very easy. So I wanted to share it with everyone. So all you have to do is basically run the whole thing. run the whole thing. I have given all the requirements that will be used, and you will get the final output. So ENG is for English, by the way, Bengali is BEN, and you can check out PyTesseract website to get other small language codes and everything. So that is it. I hope you understand the video. I hope you like the project, and keep learning.